Poet Laureate. And yes, so please join me in welcoming the MC for today's program, Livermore Poet Laureate Peggy Schimmelman.
Thank you, Paul. Welcome everybody to the 6th presentation of Verse on the Vine. I'm pleased to offer these events in the tradition of the old Ravenswood series that some of you might remember, started by our first poet laureate, Connie Post, who is here today, and continued by all the subsequent poet laureates, including Kevin Gunn, who is here today, and Cher Waller, who is here today, Cher Waller, right here. And Cynthia Patton, who is not here yet, but maybe here later. So this series features poets from outside of the valley here so that we can expose ourselves to hearing them read instead of making you all just listen to us local poets all the time. And today we have 2 outstanding poets for you. We have Kim Shuck joining us from San Francisco and Lourdes Figueroa from Oakland. Following the featured poets, we will have a short intermission, during which you may enjoy more refreshments if you haven't already, or even more. And then following intermission, we'll have an open poetry mic. Time will be limited to 3 minutes or 3 poems, whichever comes first. And if you haven't signed up, there's a sign-up sheet on the table back there. Did all of you see it? We plan to read. If they're in, I'll pass it around later. Make sure everybody's signed up. Before we begin, I want to thank Paul Sevilla, who does such an excellent job of not only setting us up, but of promoting for us and videotaping us for the library's YouTube channel. And so thank you, Paul. So, without further delay, our first poet today will be Lourdes Figueroa. Lourdes is an oral Chicanx queer poet. Her poems are a dialogue of her lived experience when her family worked in El Azadón in Yolo County. The words El Azadón are used by the ones who work in the fields, the work of tilling the soil under the blistering sun. Lourdes has continuously worked in the Bay Area as a family case manager, serving immigrant families, domestic violence survivor advocate, housing advocate, interpreter, translator, community organizer. She is the author of the chapbooks Ruidos, which means, Ruidos, to learn, speak, and most recently, Vuelta with Nomadic Press. Lourdes is a recipient of the Nomadic Press Literary Award in Poetry, selected by Emeritus San Francisco poet Laureate Kim Shuck, our second reader today. Her poem, Pieces from Yolo, was nominated for a Pushcart Prize 2022 by Quiet Lightning. A native of Limbo Nation, Lourdes continues to believe in your lungs, in the power of your lungs and your throat. Please join me in welcoming Lourdes Figueroa.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here, Peggy, and thank you for bringing me in. I'm very grateful to be here. I'm just going to dive in. Some of this are new poems, and they were written as I was also working along with the poem for this project that Kim Shuck was creating called Manifesto. Okay. How's that? Okay, here we go. Prayer beads are slipping off an open palm. From all the spaces between lives, from all openings and closings, from windows to the doors, we did not close the night. 1,000 bodies the poem sought, From the abrazos I refused to the bedrooms of the woman that received me, to the body that is my pocha body now. To the hearth between her legs, our souls move, make words, open, close their lips. From the overwhelming dream that I awoke from this dawn. You made me scared to be alive. From the distance between my memories and your childhood, from the cracks in the bathroom wall in our house to the wet blood on the locker room floor, from us walking home from the tiendita with a bag of chetos, from your shy side glances and your blushing cheeks, an entire empire that looks to be alive in this world. You, the great sprawling expanse reaching out to me, I love you. From this summer, wide open, till sickness saw us, a hatred, a blind love, a science, a revolution, a civil war, the aftermath of the penetration is happening again. Our tongue is tangling. May this be a relapse of love, war, our biggest mess. We won't stop. How many bodies will it take to make the poem as large as the sound of water? Ask the Mayan god of earth and tree. Ask the god of all the goddesses. Which is you? Will we begin again? Like every dawn at 3 a.m., the seventh cave opens and closes. Where are our kids? How many songs are we singing to each other? The mouth of El Rio is beginning a revoltijo with all the drowned, all of what hurts of me, of you, of me. Our bodies aren't easy. The Euphrates is whistling once again. What can we conquer? What could we conquer? How much harm have we done? I swear to you, the kids died without eating. These angers, this now, this is how we tell each other. I love you after Rio Grande. All of it. All of it. No holes unfilled. We did it to each other. I remember now. It was the both of us crying into the night, stuffing the boat with the fallen apples from a season that happened the day before, so we could say to each other, there was never any knowledge in the language, only in the ability of our heart to say beat. I covered our skins with a delicate, assuming breath, like the kind that fogs around, like bees, or on the very dulce bloom. The beginning of summer was a humid, unassuming harvest. The kids were playing inside, the cornfields. They had sweat on their noses, the sun bright and white. There are things in my life I thought I understood. To begin again is to see you again. No welt in my organs, no welt in my torso, no welt in our gestures, regardless of the temples near the liquor store or the overgrown milpa. Our small brown hands open on our eyes. The children giggling. Once our pocha tongue was slang, now we use it for every verse, an arrow slicing through the language of a sonnet. We have been singing for so long that the verb has melted over. The amoxli and the codices, a herd of galloping, severed limbs, the nerves alive crossing desert, mountain, sea, river. From this distance, a sweaty mirage of prayer beads slipping further away. The closer we get, the sound of water sounding different inside the ears of the thirsty. So I'm going to dive into a long verse poem, and this was inspired by the writer Ana Castillo's from her book Massacre of the Dreamers, where within it she says, I was unable to unearth the female indigenous consciousness. That I am certain is part of my genetic collective memory and life experience. In Tenochtitlan, Moctezuma called upon thousands of dreamers who were sharing the same premonition, the prophesized arrival of Cortes and the subsequent annihilation of the empire. Montezuma's order to have the dreamers murdered en masse did not stop the landing of those alien ships that were already on their way, with those intentions were to take whatever riches were found at any cost. And this was from Massacre of the Dreamers again, and it came out in 1995. So I'll jump around through this long verse poem. We were made in the image of starlit sky and land-filled flesh. I stumbled upon a stone. It just happened to be a fragment of an entire you. And it was at this time that the will to live surpassed the will of time. Your supple brown hips swayed. I fell in love. As I picked up stone, rubbing sharp edges, I looked to the east, then north, then west, and began to spread your legs, placing my face in between your warm hearth. The world shined in browns, rust-colored sunsets, your labia lapis lazuli, the color of Donatuda's eyes. Brutal came to my eyes and my lips as we made love. With the moon above us becoming dust, suddenly I lost the ability to pronounce your name. The trace sashaying their hips in unknown ways, every piece of your body a fragment on the center of my tongue, a dent on a portion of earthland where it would feel like a palm, and I could press my cheek against it, wrap my arms around your waist. I am writing a love poem towards you, so long that it finally reaches you, my flying serpent. My constant beginning and end, kotlike ejaculating inanna, inanna ejaculating kotlike. Like the times when we used to imagine digging a hole so deep, reaching the depths of the other side. This is what life feels like. A womb so cavernous it has transformed to joy. Watching your lips reflect the mid-morning, reflecting the sun moving towards us. What would happen if we got Sappho's missing fragments? Filled in the blanks, like the apparition of a 1,000-year-old lake after the floods. Would that change how you felt about me? Would you love me thus? Would the word beloved disappear from our lips, only to relocate the artifacts of what must have been a muse excavating a reborn carcass after a relapse of sorts? Would you still call me filthy and gorgeous? Our palms spread out over hieroglyphs, like wide open, thick thighs beckoning, holding how you would hold a warm breast. Woolly, cuerpo criatura, formless and unknown light, as our eye relearns thought. Would you be able to remember me, how we were then? Standing by the gas station, blue light on our cutis as we chugged cinnamon fire whiskey, twisting the word desire within our rolled-in tongues, our bodies being all that keeps being defined by lines and borders, holding in the warm embrace of what we imagine having happening. I want to remember the skin on our leg, the silk gown you wore and left on the bathroom floor, empapada de ti. We're both like a Zitbrachli lost song. Never mind that. We're more so like the lost Noel poems, like all the love poems decimated, filthy, and gorgeous. They must have all sung under a Venus light before they massacred the dreamers. Their mouths wet and warm with tepache. The moment you walked out of my chest, your left muslo was to the north, the other one spread to the south, your torso and lips pointing east and west. Sabíamos lo que éramos en la madrugada. El día traspasó más de 203,000 años. Ya no somos las mismas. As I dipped the fat of my palm inside the afterglow of the morning star, she kotlike, the light we all been worshipping, color lapis lazuli. Hoy me escondí bajo el humo y me fijé en los fragmentos, nuestros preciosos fragmentos, hechos de células que hacen sangre y músculo. Me escondí buscándote. Me topé con el tiempo que se olvida y del polvo de nosotras, polvo que es arena, arena que ha sido volteada, torturada, en ser y luego echada. Y le pregunté a mi corazón, ¿quién es el polvo? ¿Cómo fuimos? ¿Y cómo somos? ¿A dónde vamos? Todas mis esperanzas en mi boca, en mi garganta, en tus cuerpos, todas las palabras un puño de polvo. I want to kiss your mouth, go down on you like every other lesbian who has loved you in secret, tell you I love you, that you are in my thoughts when you are not with me, and I bite my tongue hard when I feel your sweat on my cheek when you greet me. It is true that I feel that I am in one of those old lesbian love stories, that if I were to tell you this would end, all of it might end. Cuerpo criatura, I tripped over the line of this long verse, wrapped my body around the mid-butt. I meant to kiss your mouth. I don't know how it happened. It must have happened for it to happen. How do you read into body gestures from 1,000 years ago? Buried bodies of children, a face pointing toward the glow of the moon, an attempt to kiss, missing the lips, that flick of a finger, that wiggle of shoulders, my hand slipping through your armpits, subtle whisper movements, reaching out through moments of a limb or two coming together. I keep trying to hear the unsaid fragment that sounded right before they massacred the dreamers, even though I'm still trying to catch the tune that played at Lake Berryessa 3 days ago, through the mouth of a little brown girl singing, "Jugaremos en el bosque mientras el lobo no está." It must have been a symphony of sorts. I've given up on being sober around you, just in case I track the sound and the howl with las lobas. And if I catch it, I wouldn't know how to repeat it with your throat. Maybe my stubbornness is that I want these words to feel good in our mouths, even if we never know them. The thing is, there's a time warp, and within that time warp, I was able to reach into the now empty chest of a Nahuatl poet, giving away her breath. She lay there thinking she was still alive as her heart beat outside her body, her brown warm skin shining like gold, reflecting the jaws of the full moon. I bent down, kissed her mouth, y algún cuerpo down the steps from the altar kept saying across firelit faces, the kiss, the kiss, the kiss meant nothing. Todo el día he estado pensando sobre la pregunta entre tus labios y cómo tus labios formaron la pregunta hacia mí. I keep burning all my letters to Quetzalcoatl and Malintzin, hoping to relocate a translated throat. Toda una O como el número cero, asking for the buzz of a bee in exchange for the lives we thought we had lived. Cuerpo mudo sin cesar, like cascades smoothing stone, silhouette-shaped tongue. There's a grief in her body that she cannot label. A grief shooting like lightning in the synapses of her belly. Útero infinitud, illicit tug that seeks Nanahuatzin's will, the most humble of all the gods. Nanahuatzin that kisses your darkest parts, where you have hurt everyone else, and with every warm kiss, on chest, on earlobe, slick, lengua, and nuestro paladar, dando vuelta para decirte, I will always kiss the darkest parts of your thoughts. What happens when life breaks down, when this letter's contradictions are too much to bear, telling you to forgive the last letters to Malintzin? I will tell you that you are bearable, made in the very image of my heart, as I am of you. I will tell you, welcome home. You symbolize everything that is mitochondria. Hold you in my breast, whisper on the edge of your outer ear, it is true. You are love and tired. Always have been. And I'll read the last final section of the poem. Thank you. The last time, the very last morning that I thought we would be together forever, I watched you from the bed, watching your reflection of you gazing at you, the bathroom door ajar. Your body naked, brown, pearl-like skin, the silhouette of your breast as you raised your arm, your palm to your face. Everything felt like burnt honey, with a soft smell of your axilla, a soft stream of the morning Kansas light poured on our lavender flower sheets. You were the first and last to slip a spoonful of rhubarb pie in my mouth, light, sweet tart. Your gaze kept wavering from empty to hardness as you stood in front of the mirror. From hardness to silence, you became every day after that day in the same way pearls form inside the womb of a wound. And I understood it was a pain you wanted to carry on your own. Not wanting it to bleed into our very lives, as it bled into our lives, puddles of blood in everything we did or not do. Because there were so many days after that, it would just be you rocking back and forth on your rocking chair, forever forgetting to look at me. A deep silence that felt like a dull ache. An undiscovered massacre under our feet, haunting until an archaeologist or some developer accidentally rips it to sight. Pulling a fragment a bone that belonged to somebody that maybe was like you. Astute, facetious, really a total smartass to the point of collapsing wars. I didn't know where to begin to hold you, except to stand by, my arms wide open, stoically ready, just ready to catch you in any way I could. And I started to miss you so hard right there in our very home. Not knowing how to translate your body movements for requests of love. You must have been reaching out from the deepest void, our deepest void. That cenote that we're all from, and we fail to recognize over and over again. How do I make this language sparse enough so it only and only our bodies are, so it is only and only our bodies that are making kissing sounds? For the sake of this verse, there's a loop on repeat, repeating itself, a loop watching itself. It is not a broken record, beginning at the same place we doom and save ourselves. None of us saw it coming. Each century, the legs of a woman wide open, pudor entre muslos, sudor entre verbo, verbo en cueros, lengua mojada resbalándose, entre tenso pasado, futuro, en lo podrido de hoy. Porque lo podrido renace un cuerpecito hacia otro. Y una manzana roja se come, y nos perdemos. Entre metáfora y tambor, el viento soplando, el gusano comiéndose, para hacerse mariposa. Solo te ruego que pongas tu cuerpo encima del mío. My arrows is the desire to be fully Mexica again, to unearth the Amoxli that became dust in hell. All our first songs disappeared only to live in the unlanguage of our sweat. As I slipped my hands into her chest to feel the wet of her blood, she looked straight into my eyes. All the 7 caves swallowed in, and within her closed mouth she sang, "We've destroyed my life. And it was just one kiss. Now go ahead, take a bite out of my torso. You are the prodigal language. Welcome home, hijas. I waited an eternity for you. I've been trying to stitch the emptiness, what's indented in all of us, even with the ones that took Donatia's side, together for each other. For Nanahuatzin no longer has a name nor a sex, has become everything and nothing. So we could be here. We, the children of the Nopal. I think of her and how we remember each other when we first learned to make love, licking la cima del trigo in the place of the 7 caves, rompiendo the callus of the hoe. Her navel sunk as I licked the rim of the ear in Tamacan, till Sidney heard us, fed us the poem made of song and breath. Aquí, here, 1000 besos for the lost fragments of our códices and Amosli, and us with la X on our bodies. Paisa's entire hill become Nanahuatzin's fragments. There are besos de amor. In the long ago days, the boys said today, there are 3 or 4 Mayan codices that remain. 3 of them are named for the European cities where they are kept, Dresden, Paris, and Madrid. This poem that names herself, I Will Kiss Your Mouth Between the Overgrown Milpa, is dedicated to all the poets we lost when our codices in the Amoxli were destroyed, and to the poets that are being made now, and we are destroying today in between borders. For the song we don't get to hear from them and each other. And to all of us poets, now, let us continue to bring medicine to our little mundito. Thank you.
Wonderful, Lourdes, thank you. Such beautiful use of language, and I love that some Spanish is thrown in with it. It's just so beautifully expressed, all the passion and sensuality really comes through. Thank you for taking us on that emotional journey with you. Our next featured reader is Kim Shuck. Kim was born in San Francisco, and she is a member of the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma. She's a poet, a weaver, and a beadwork artist who draws from Southeastern Native American culture and tradition, as well as contemporary urban living Indian life. She served for over 3 years as the 7th Poet Laureate of San Francisco and has been a major poet and poetry organizer in the Bay Area since the early 2000s. Her work is published in major journals and in 8 solo poetry books, some of which are over here available for purchase. She has organized honorings, memorials, monthly, bi-monthly, and intergenerational readings. She has curated or edited small books and full collections of poetry, including the first in her forthcoming series from all over the state of California. Please welcome Kim Shuck.
Thank you. It's always interesting reading after Lourdes. You can make a specific straight line if you draw it between any two poets, and I'm always interested in how that changes the poems. So, we'll see. We met because of Sharon Coleman at an event in Alameda, and really have been very good friends ever since. I'm going to be reading from the book I brought, Pick a Garnet to Sleep In, and then also from some pieces that I wrote because of the Manifest Differently project. What hour is this for a car to slip like a seal over the hill? Lights cut in the window, striking raindrop shadows. Sky Creek, finding level. Finding the echoes of Wounded Knee, of the numbers we roll around in our symbols, of the pen we can't find, the rattle of thinking, the rattle of mystery hours in a suspended time of year. Pendulum knocking over one more peg, unwatched. Every year that image, death by someone else's fear, and the trailing connections of questions we think may have been answered. These poems are pretty much from the lockdown. They're still painting the city all the colors of an above-ground cemetery. Gray and gray, veined white, a door like a flower against a headstone. Even though they're running to somewhere else as was foretold, repainting the house before they go, touch up on the charcoal face, a door like a flower with a heavy head stem bent, wishing water, a house like a crypt, dark, the next one marble white, and here, in the pandemic, what do we know about how this crisis will run? The people up the hill, the ones who smoke in the dark, in the night, cigarette tip, a flower, blazing breath, I watch them, don't think that they can see me more than computer light. We sing our rituals in the dark, as some of the neighbor houses dark in recent days, for sale signs blooming like flowers for the dead, flowers against a headstone. We aren't obliged to believe in one another, and it seems that for varying values of we don't. As DC waddles along counting other things, what a story to be held up by symbols that you pull and chip. I have sketched them on my hands when I can't think of what to write. Symbols from the edges of a story in progress that believes that I am part of the prequel. That believes for varying values of they, that for purposes of cosmetic surgery, we are best left symbolic. In movies, romantic art, and abstracted images of lithic suffering, but not dancing in ceremony and celebration, not at the election, not picking an extreme number of backyard plums and trying to give them away, but vanishing in law, vanishing in cities, vanishing by design. Is that prayer smoke smeared like fingerprints inexpertly lifted as we stalk the edges of September, the hint of September? No one told her she isn't there anymore. It takes a while to recognize the changes. There won't be a quiz at the end of the week. Not here. Our hands are full of word fish. See how they flash in the fingertips' eye. See how they flash and call the water. Is it fog or smoke? The crow asks me from a tenuous perch on power lines. Is that fog? Can I have one of those cashews? Is that fog? I leave one on the windowsill. Something rides the air down the street, something else. California is praying in panic. in the smoke of house fires and hillsides. You can always be part of the mix as long as it's a part chosen by someone else. Is that fog? The folded city finds August most clearly just before dawn. Pinstripe tuxedo cat and the Sunday paper on the front porch, then the gradual dawn through San Bruno Mountain. Gift peaches, lunch under the loquat tree, the city unfolding in sharp, short flashes like a map, like a leaf, like a poison flower, a medicine flower, like patience. The tide of strangers, all unaware. Not everyone knew as a stranger. The city, folded for the moment, purrs, forepaws kneading the sidewalk. These are the stones, whose names I've forgotten. The one I've been using for a bright eye is in shades of light brown and gray, frighteningly accurate when looking at songbirds and fugitive potential hostilities. Another stone panics for me because I don't have time anymore. It's blue. This one looks like marble, luminous as skin. It's too heavy to be marble. It might be marble. It might be cursed skin. I write with a soft, warm stone, but can never be sure what words will come out. This transparent stone has been scanning the prophecies. She's trying to tell me something. Oh, that makes a big noise.
It sounded like thunder.
I like it.
You could use it for sound effect.
Yeah. Not all microphones are quite that good. I'm just always glad these days, because when I started doing readings, I was mostly reading in like bars and back rooms and places. And so this mic doesn't smell like beer, which is pretty good. And the snacks are better. Before dawn, waterfalls wait, rocks loose on the faces, yearn for sea level, twigs caught in ice puddles, all untoasted. After sunrise, the road clings to rock, to tree root, glittering dangerously. This hillside, that one move on the move, water released, sings down. There's a secret belief in genocide, hand in hand with commerce, the threat of an untied rope. A rope made of braids cut from mocked men and women, stolen from themselves, stolen from the hills with gold, and that comforting smell of sun-warmed wildflowers, and hidden water, and hiding water, and objects resentfully renamed. The city isn't just sculpture, it's a sculpture. The only perpetual motion machine that works, heartbroken, smug, struggling in joy, and knowing that it's important to pick a side, a face of the polyhedron, perched on toes by the Pacific. Say the names of the villages that were, the lakes that are, and the lakes that curl wishing under schools and old churches, along with the salamanders and the bunchgrass. Say the names of the toes of the shoeless, who make this peninsula into a mammal, a sculpture, the misdrawn and misunderstood coastal sage, and the quiet overlooked bats. This city isn't a sculpture, the walls rebarred with bones of stickleback and hopeful invasion. The city is self-aware. The city is a sculpture. The city is afraid of the consequence of ghost ships that soak in the memory of the bay, of hillsides that seep in the wet months, of stands of trees and the latest import plants. The city crawls with intention, and coyotes, and coy dogs, and lapdogs, and rats that feed on excellent garbage. The city isn't a sculpture. So, this new book probably has two of my favorite poems I've ever written in it, which is probably about as much as you can ever expect. So this is 365 poems from last year. One for every day. I'm going to read a couple of March and a couple of April, because I'm terrible at watching my time.
Okay.
And for now, we'll see.
I'll give you the hook.
Yeah, that poet, but I'm kind of enjoying the room. Traveling over water requires particular songs. We return to the strange days. Once this place was loved too, thick with acorns for anyone to lose themselves. The men across the street in the park smoke lances of relaxation. They stand, threads of rainfall made semi-permanent before a careful quilting of an afternoon. Fairies on toe tip. I don't know who's taking out the eucalyptus over Sausalito. Here the hunting's good and changed. A single egret fusses in the mud of low tide. The press of rising barely felt through soil under blacktop. Smile, smile and wonder. The channel shifts, it shifts across the day. Childhood pendulum, it's the earth that moves, and what would we do without ritual? Rabbits arriving in untranslatable measures just out of the corner of the eye. Our lips do not touch forever. Morning after the world changed as every morning. But some changes will shake you. A scattered puzzle, a lack of soothing breath, an unexpected misstair step, a falling awake. Stretched shadows. There's no unbound moment that is unlike all others, and each is a singular event, a fingerprint, a mark made with a March morning, with a specific light that shakes imagination like ceremony, as we, content and finger comb, lean back against the constellation of senses that others have practiced for us. So that was from Excavating March, and this is from Rabbits of April. Long-eared and rangy, April arrives in rabbits, more nests in the pasture that we call a lawn, even though we know better. These bursts of pollen and insight, petal storm and the first wild iris, a refugee among the vines, trumpet and passion flower near the old greenhouse. Wind and wind, all limbs loose, and a small might be a nest torn or gathered where the street shifts to stairs. These hills, their selective fingers, a politics of bird and weather, a might have been. Enough rain to trace the creek canyon to Bayshore, traffic break. You can almost hear, almost shiver, culverts in an attempted murder. She lived through the red frogs, their serious chiming in hidden places. Surge and press of moon slim moss flower, rain, chill and distortion of moonrise, full through the water song, through the flower light. These not Friday, these moon spells, waiting on the ear tip of April. I don't remember what night it is. When you can spin this fog, it spills over the hill, immune to anything but skill and spindle, twined with curdled moonlight, regular as the news, feigning indignation, but here, for now, remain old spells, and some that were new, a few hundred years gone. Thank you so much for having me. I do that all the time, but this was sort of more about colonization.
She can write one of those a day. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I love all the way you pack so many images and so much action into one poem. So much movement. It's pretty impressive.
And your insight, just like your insight is just good.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you very much. Okay, well, that's the featured part of our event today. We're going to take a 5 to 10 minute break.
I always feel like
We're going to begin the open mic part of the event now. And so remember, it's for poetry or prose poetry only. And it will be 3 minutes or 3 poems, whichever comes first. So we're going to start off with Cher Wallard.
I knew I was the first one on the list. I should have decided what I was going to read, I suppose. But I didn't do that, so you're going to get whatever I come up with here.
It's all good.
Thank you. Thank you. You've probably, those of you who know me have probably heard all of it before, but that's okay. All right, I'm going to start with, I think I'm going to start with a poem that I wrote. I was fortunate enough to go to India years ago. I was only there for a week, not nearly enough time to see a huge, diverse country like that, but it was pretty cool. And when I came back, there was an image that would not leave my brain. And this is called the Dalit, which is the word for untouchable. We saw a legless man in Delhi balanced on a creeper in the center of a raucous intersection. He had no legs, no shirt, but he held the scruffy cup. His bellowed cry caused gray tourists, ignoring the shouts of their guide, to leap from auto rickshaws amid the cows, cars, and buses, the gangs of small children, the yellow motorbikes, entire families perched atop like pigeons, the mother's sari's bright feathers, to leap and then to drop hurried rupees on the hot pavement beside the mangled man. Although we try to forget, we recall him when we pack our bags, when we bundle into coach, when we show off our treasure troves of exotic photographs, carved red Ganeshas, postcards of the Taj Mahal gleaming and of beautiful Lakshmi smiling at us. When we are at home in our kitchens, cooking a hearty stew of beef and corn, or washing clothes. When we tuck our whole limbs beneath soft sheets, we hear him. When we close our eyes, his face floats above us in the dark. This was one of my COVID poems. What I write. I've been writing about death everywhere, in my journal, in summaries for work, on post-it notes and the walls of my house, moribund graffiti. Each square on the calendar is chiseled with a bold black D. On the grocery list, instead of potatoes, I jot death. My name, when I speak it, is a quietus. Even if I think I am writing about lilies, loneliness, love, the specter hovers. Morning opens to sunlight, yet there are still so many shadows, shrouding vestigial remnants of nocturnal sky, till every poem is an elegy. And then this one I wrote, I don't know how many years ago it's been now, about my heritage. Leading Bet Shabeb. They sent his brother first, America, with its gold-gilt streets, to bring back dowries for his sisters. 5 girls, each with those unsettling pale eyes, legacy of some crusader centuries before. It took half of all they had to pay his passage. What else could they do? Weeks, months, a whole year, no word, not one letter. So they sent the younger son, my grandfather, my Jiddu, to bring back his brother, the dowries, any gold he could carry. Well, you know how that went. Here am I, second generation, born in the USA. He married a girl from the next town over. Every morning they gave thanks for their many blessings. At night lamented all they had left behind. Often he told his son, "When we return, I will show you mountains whose beauty will pierce your heart." My light-eyed grandchildren had never seen such mountains, nor the cedar pews he built for the little church in the village of Bet-Shadeb. Their lips cannot even make the sound of its name. Thank you.
Thank you, Cher. Next we have Kevin, followed by Connie.
It's a Laureate. Trifecta.
It's the Laureate trifecta.
This first poem is called Exorcism. Our new refrigerator arrived. The delivery crew performed a home appliance exorcism by carrying out our former demonic icebox and loading its voodoo vestiges onto their truck. They didn't have to sprinkle holy water over its dysfunctional ice maker. They didn't have to drive a steak into its virtually vacant vegetable crisper. They didn't need to say a prayer under the sign of the cross to appease the fresh food gods, to redeem its stale, spoiled, store-swindled soul. Gone is the duct tape broken handle that never worked. Gone is the two-sided tape holding the inner lining together. And gone are the cramped quarters that made bedfellows out of condiments, cream cheese, and cucumbers. Covered by a worthless warranty with more loopholes in the federal tax code, this demon-possessed faux fridge is now making its broken-down way over the Rainbow Bridge. Get forever behind us, Satan. Thank you. This next one's called The Couch Potatoes Holy Trinity. Big screen TV, recliner, remote control. The layback position is good for the soul. Reruns and sports are the path to salvation. And when you get bored, you can just change the station. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Perry Mason's the show that I watch the most. All true religions demand sacrifice. The cable gods like clockwork right on cue up the price. I carry the cross month to month like a martyr. Adding new channels only makes it much harder. Streaming services also raise the stakes higher. Heaven is costly, how to walk the high wire. Nirvana awaits with new shows to subscribe to, something more hip than I usually vibe to. My world is contrived, commercials confound me. I need to break free from those ads that surround me. The infrared wavelength that bonds me to my maker. I clench firm my remote, could I ever forsake her? Reality creeps in, I am tasked to partake it. Extract me from my chair, I have a hunch I can make it, or if not, at least fake it. Last poem I'm going to read is called Torrential Teslas. It's raining Teslas everywhere, no matter where I look. They're parked in every cranny, they're merging into every nook. A quiet storm is stirring waves that crest on crowded streets. A four-wheel fad in overdrive, a Pied Piper with leather seats. Cookie-cutter contours, shapely silhouettes, attention-stealing starlets, car reader-clad coquettes. A computer screen's fluorescent glow is the shaman's altar. The drivers worship its commands and trust their faith won't falter. Sometimes these cars make choices. They take an errant turn and give their owners seeds of doubt a cause for their concern. When their power is running low, finding charging stations can sometimes be an elusive task and often fuels frustrations. Technology-wise, they're far advanced, they're sleek, they're fast and fun. And though it may seem otherwise, they're not for everyone. Environmental warriors who devoutly preach electric can't convince a lot of folks whose tastes run more eclectic. At times I feel I can throw a rock and almost always hit one, but just because they're all around doesn't mean I need to get one. I know what I like to drive, the crowd can't sway me much. The only cars I'll ever buy are cars that sport a clutch. Thank you.
Now we have Connie, followed by Louis.
Those of you who know me well, I've had a vision struggle year. This is like my 6th iteration, so they're not perfect, and I need cataract surgery ASAP. So I'm going to read from my brand new book, well, not brand new anymore, but Between Twilight from New York Quarterly Books. This one, so if I have to make adjustments, I don't know if I can do that. I hate these glasses, hang on. I'll just do it this way and put it real close to my face. Oh, no, I can't. That's not good either. Shit. Sorry, pardon my French. All right.
There must be a poem in this.
There's gotta be. Anyways, ink. She took her pen into the forest and wrote long sentences into the trees until there were no more trees and they succumbed to the weight of description. Soon after, she went to the river and dropped paragraphs into the water, and the rapids carried her stories downstream. She remained alone, with only the pen and earth, and now dry and barren as the self who carried her here. This one's called, next one's Waterway. It can be lonely building a lake next to your home. You must say no to social engagements. You must find a way to eat your own loneliness and make sure no scraps are left behind. A simple bucket will not do. You must make small ponds in the indents of your sadness. You must check water levels every day. You will wait in a barren room and nobody will know you are hiding. As winter turns its back on you, you will finally walk close to the body of water you've created. You will kneel at the sacrament of its unknown depth. Your sins will become part of the runoff from the rain. You will find contrition in the braille of the wet soil. You will embrace the banished heretic who has waited for you in the clearing of absolved trees. And the last one's called The Wandering. The names on the street signs fade. The words blend together like children in a small hut. The lines in the road fall beneath the asphalt. You walk around looking for a familiar turn in the road, a place you used to watch the milkman drive by. You stare at strangers and they look right through you. Your skin is already translucent. You swore to yourself you would not spend too much time looking for that same spot on the sidewalk where you stepped on the crack to break your mother's back. You didn't really want it to break, or maybe not all the way. You just wanted her to remember the endless years of ping-pong battles beating you to the floor, the spine that never healed. At night when you are speechless, you wonder if a dying language can be saved. Thanks.
Louis, followed by Danielle.
I just wrote this last 3 days. The animation of life tissue. The river runs through us and assigns us our name, the name of who we are. We do not decide if we are toad or bug or fish or bird or mammal. Not at first anyway. We are not the water. The water only runs through us and is trapped temporarily within us. We are made out of earth. We come alive because the river runs through us and because of the air that passes through us. But we are not the air. We are not the fire either that continually burns or combusts within our every cell. We are earth that comes alive when water, air, and fire all combine in ourselves to make life. When we die, the water returns to the sea, the air returns to the atmosphere, the fire returns as an electrical charge to Earth's power grid. Our bodies return to the soil. But now that the river and the air and the fire have run through us and made us alive and who we are, we can decide what our future will be. We can cut open our bodies and grow the kidneys of a pig inside us. Or we can empty our blood out and reinsert someone else's blood. We can choose to live on the ocean or transport ourselves to the moon. We can produce children who have gills or wings or a tail. We can change our sex. We can freeze our sperm and our eggs and operate on our embryos like mad scientists. We can detonate atomic material or make enough biological organisms to kill off every human being on Earth. But why would we want to do that? P.S. We might even, with the help of AI, begin to initiate conversations with insects, plants, and other animals with whom we have always lived, but have been too arrogant to even consider that they might have some knowledge and opinions and input that they might wish to share with us, i.e., to put in their own 2 cents about whether or not it's a good idea for us to drop the big one and destroy all life on a whim just because we can.
Daniela, followed by Eric.
Okay, so I read this one first last year ago at Whistle Stop, so made some minor revisions. It's called The Apple Thief. She walks over to the fruit bowl at the entrance of the dining hall in the assisted living facility. Kathy at the front desk watches her as she takes an apple in each hand. She slips first one, then the other, inside her open jacket, her bent arms stiff against her body, making apple-sized bulges in the crooks of her elbows. Before she walks back to us, she grabs a couple of bananas, one in each hand. She hasn't eaten, she says to Kathy, pointing a banana at me, arms clamped to her sides. Oh, okay, says Kathy, smiling and nodding at us. We hurry to the exit with the forbidden fruit. In the car, Mom unloads her booty. Wie viele Leute kommen zum Essen? How many people are coming to eat? Nur ich heute, I tell her, just me today, although it's always just me. We share one of the bananas after lunch. She leaves the rest of her bounty in my car after I take her back. I don't mention it. There's probably a stash in her room already. I can't very well return them to the fruit bowl. It would be a violation of the hygiene rules. Now I'm stuck with Mom's contraband apples and a stray banana. But I've got it covered. Over the next couple of days, I'll be eating the evidence.
I don't have a title for this one. My lover is diseasing away. Death is chewing on him like an old dog. First his toe, a little off the top. Today, half his foot is raw bacon. Sitting bedside in a restless home, we small talk around recovery. Tales of strange patience in this place. The one that stands over the sleeping, the ghost asking about the bus, always trying to leave, but can't. There are screams in the night. Some just don't want to die alone. Some resurfacing briefly, realizing where they are. He starts to worry about his elder years, and I swallow my counsel. Don't worry, my love. You're not going to live that long. And this is going to be so much better. People who have heard me talk before know I'm always full of chipper poems. So this one is called A Sense of Spring. The gentle, pure air brings a sweet elixir, an orchestra of flowers, musty earth, pine's rustic odor. Vital warmth from above, a slight breeze, the perfect blend on skin, moist grass tickles bare feet. Birds serenade daydreams, leaving leaves whisper lethargically. Neither Homer or Joyce need eyes to know that it's spring.
Is there anyone who neglected to sign up who wants to read? No? Okay. Well, then I guess I will close things out. This is an older poem. I have a chapbook coming out sometime this year. as it's promised to come out sometime this year, anyway. It has some older poems in it, but some new ones. It's called Make Me Your Love Song, so a lot of the songs have music in them in some way. I think this one does, but this is an older one called Mojave Moon. I shudder at the thought of a coffin, buried deep beneath a tombstone etched with my essential earthly achievements. Born, died, loving wife and mother, a teacher, a little-known writer. How dreary to wait in a graveyard for karmic reassessment, or the call of the seventh trumpet, surrounded by bones and worm-chewed flesh, a newcomer to starlit soirees hosted by restless apparitions of departed neighbors and friends. Imagine the boredom. As nights on end they debate God's intentions, mull over memories, bemoan their sins and regrets. No, release my soul to the desert. Let me soar like an angel enchanted by that ancient Mojave moon. I'll commune with coyotes, jackrabbits, geckos, iguanas, and Joshua trees. I'll sway to the drumbeat of Shoshone shamans, dance with the spirits of Serranos, Cahuillas, Graham Parsons, and moon-drunk peyote stone hippies. It's not that I'm itching to ditch this town, but we cross only once that mysterious, inevitable threshold. If I must take death's arm, why not let it lead me to exotic other worlds, where I can speak a new tongue, sing unfamiliar songs, and meet some interesting new people. And these are two newer ones. This song is for you, he said. Your memory circles my bed, armed and threatening. Its weapons a resonant voice, an acoustic guitar, a serenade featuring that love song you wrote, the sweet tune I ridiculed before I knew how mockery could slice and scar. I wonder if you ever wrote another. It's years too late for apologies, but I wish you could know my remorse for that careless giggle, the dismissive shrug, my spontaneous response, which might have been different had I understood then as I do now how scorn can poison a creative spirit. And I realized that every tune, like every poem, is somebody's baby, a labor of love. Had I known yours was to be the only song a lover would ever write about me. Had I known that years later, though I can't recall the shape of your eyes or the sound of your laugh, sometimes at night I still hear your song, its every word etched on my memory. And just to make sure we go out on a light note, it's called Music Man. I like my men like I like my music. Bold with a confident rhythm, strong on the downbeat, snappy on the backbeat, unafraid of a little improvisation or syncopation, and lively as a Cajun fiddle. Some like a man who's tuned to perfection, steady as a symphony, soft as a love song, smooth as a tango, and classy as a vintage amati. I can dig all that, but I like me a man who can swing me, rock me, set my foot tapping, make me dance in the street like New Orleans jazz. Thank you. So thanks all of you for coming, and thanks to all of the open mic participants, and especially thanks to Kim and Lourdes for driving all the way out here to today. I know you have busy schedules. I see a lot of your activities happening online, so we appreciate you taking the time for us. And thanks to Paul again in the library for producing the event for us. So thank you. See you next time. All right.